reduce the gender gap in content about arts and Wikimedia projects, especially Wikipedia, which started in 2014. This project has changed throughout the years. It was created 11 years ago. And in 2014, it began through an editathon in a museum in New York. And now it's a non-profit organization. It has a group of Wikimedia users, and we also hold a yearly campaign that organizes activities around the world. And that's what we will be talking about now. Mission, vision, values. As an organization, our mission is to build a community of activists that is committed to closing information gaps related to gender, feminism, and the arts, beginning with Wikipedia. Vision, art and feminism and visions, an internet that reflects diverse global histories of artistic creation, where communities who have most often been written out of history feel welcome and empowered to participate in writing and writing our stories. Values. We believe in the power of arts. They are essential for societies to prosper and stay open. We also believe that we are a community that includes several feminisms. There isn't just one version of feminism or one way to do things. We believe in safe and brave spaces, and we encourage everyone to follow this value and to implement it in every activity organized by our organization and our campaigns. We also believe in the power of sharing and creating knowledge at a global scale. So we also understand the importance of Wikimedia projects in the knowledge and information dissemination ecosystem. So we also believe in the importance of GLAM institutions. These pictures show some of the meetups held throughout the world. People from different backgrounds come together to edit Wikipedia and to close gender gaps around art-related topics. Why would GLAM institutions be interested in joining our campaign? First of all, something essential, the impact of Wikimedia projects. We can use part of the collections of GLAM institutions to provide sources of information, to illustrate articles, and doing this increases the visibility of these collections or heritage. It is clear that Wikipedia is very visible. It is one of the most widely visited websites every year. It's always one of the top 10 most visited websites. Therefore, we need to face the problem of information gaps regarding art with a gender perspective.
Data are not really updated, but it is quite disproportionate, the number of male artists' biographies and female artists' biographies. So if we use a gender perspective to analyzing this article, I mean, still sharing unbiased information, we need to show who these women were, their role in arts, their role in the movement, in the foundation and growth, in the development of in cultural institution, and also contributing and adding women content written by women. We can make it more visible and reach audiences that are not specialized. We are not academic, we are not researchers, but we want to reach a more general audience, a broader audience. Another reason why GLAM institutions should participate in our campaign and join is that we have the possibility to join other audiences, other communities, and to reach other communities, for example, in education. And we can also align the activity with the mission of educational programs with GLAM, for example, when it comes to information literacy, during an activity with Wikipedia, for example, a secondary school or university student or a PhD student can learn how to assess a source of information, whether it's feasible or not, how to quote it, how to include it in an article, how to structure an encyclopedia article with a gender perspective. And something else that can be done through educational programs in GLAM institutions is to work on the development of the digital skills in the users and new communities. For example, to show how to navigate the encyclopedia, how to edit an article, how to use a word processor. Sometimes we take it for granted that young people know how to use those tools, so they have those skills, because we usually call them digital natives, but that doesn't mean that they know those skills. And so this is an opportunity for GLAM institutions to join the campaign. So how can they participate? Our campaign is pretty much about do it yourself and do it with others. So we have several resources, from visual identity to presentations to PDF files that you can use to organize your activities. But we are also available. For example, we are regional ambassadors and we can help you in anything that you need. We have a manual that you can use for your activities, and we will speak about this a little bit further on. And as of January 2024, we are going to roll out different online activities on this topic if this is something that you find interesting. An arts and feminism activity in a GLAM institution could be either a discussion panel to speak about information gaps on Wikipedia about arts and gender. It could be an editing workshop on how to edit with a gender perspective. It could be an editathon on women in arts, or maybe an editing marathon that will take several days and is hosted online. That is really up to you, up to your objectives and what you want to do. It is quite vast, in terms of the activities that can be rolled out as part of the campaign. Initially, we focused on visual arts, but the activity or the topic of the activity could be devoted to any artistic discipline. For example, in Barcelona, the Wiki women sisters work on women in music, for example. Another thing that is important is that they can apply to different funds to organize the activity. You can maybe suggest art and feminism. You can apply for art and feminism micro fund, or and if you know the date, you can apply for a Wikimedia Foundation Rapid grant. And this is the topic of our 2024 campaign: solidarity, solidarity, solidarity. So we want to reflect on what it means, on what solidarity means to us, and what it looks like in practice and in action. We want to reflect on the logo or the motto of what solidarity means, that sometimes it really lacks context, and how can we turn it into tangible actions. So we want to encourage everyone to join our campaign. So together we can design different options and embark in different activities and design different programs together.
The GLAM Wiki conference organizers this year. Thanks so much. I'm just delighted to be here. So I'm here today as a Art and Feminism regional ambassador, but also as a Wikimedian in residence at the Pedras Art Museum in Miami in the United States. And what I'm going to do is just actually show you one of the several examples of what you can do in an art and feminism campaign, really. So at PAM, I'm under the leadership of the Digital Engagement Department. Jim Molika is my director. He might be watching us now. And as you can imagine, in this residency, I'm responsible for establishing a wiki program institution-wide, editing on commons, Wikidata, creating articles about artists in the collection. But something really special about PAM is just PAM is just not only between the South America, Latin America, and the North America, so really at the intersection. And their collection is just made by Latin American artists, from the Caribbean and diaspora and the African diaspora. And it's really interesting because it's a collection that is just focusing on modern and contemporary art. And for Wikimedians, we know that working with living artists, it can be tricky, especially if they're not included in the quote-unquote art historical canon. And something, I decided to do right after I was, I got the position, was just understanding how my partnerships, they could look like. And, understanding that unfortunately in South Florida, there's no Wikimedian community that it's engaged. And I couldn't find, peers, Wikimedians in South Florida at all, actually. So I decided then to create my own group, training the PAM staff and inviting cultural institutions and staff from other museums and the academia, inviting professors in the local South Florida institutions and training and putting up just info sessions about not only art and feminism, but of course about Wikimedia in general. So something I found out right away was just that PAM has this wonderful group called the Teen Arts Council, which is just a group of teens, high schoolers, and they go to the museum regularly, they get trained, they know about the collection. So I decided then to work with them directly. And not only them, but then inviting their favorite educators, knowing that it would be important for the school, especially the Miami-Dade public school community, to know about the work that we're doing. Because if the topic is about, expanding our volunteer base and, the knowledge base about visual arts in Wikimedia, I had to invite the professors as well. So what we did was just a bunch of public programs with the teens, the educators, And a really interesting story about that was just this math teacher who was just a favorite educator, or maybe at least three teens, and he would come to the museum and we would think about art and discuss and talk about it. And it was remarkable to me, not only the math teacher was just sitting there in the art museum thinking about feminism and how to edit the pages of femme-identified artists from the Caribbean, but also thinking about how to include Wikimedia resources in the school curriculum for his math classes. And that was just really interesting to me, how can another way to think about art and feminism in our partnerships and collaborations in a much more expanded field. And that happened. We created pages. This is an ongoing, actually. This is the cohort, the Teen Arts Council for the 22, 23. But then another group is coming next year, and I'm hoping that we'll continue the work. And I'm happy to share then later. Because now what happened is just the teens and the teachers, they are now our ambassadors. They know much more about the PAM collection now. They know how to edit. They're familiar with the Wiki tools and resources. They know a lot about art and feminism. And they are training other folks. So at the end, by the end of June, we held a public event. It was the Miami Summit. So the teens were then the trainers for the audience. And that was really wonderful. And we have amazing pictures from Nicole Kumbo, who is a photographer in-house. And one of the info sessions we held, a few questions they came up, and was mainly how can art museums use Wikipedia as a teaching tool, and also how, I hope that translators, I don't have much time, so I hope the translators are catching. And how educators can use Wikipedia critically to teach the social sciences through visual arts and feminism mainly. And I think by the end, it's been a few months, we've been working on pages and artists and creating a curriculum on media literacy, thinking about the impact of this in the school field. And I have more and more great pictures about the series of events, and thinking about what digital engagement with media literacy looks like for the teens and educators in Miami-Dade County Public Schools. Just establishing this co-learning environment, because now the students, they train the educators, the favorite educators, on Wiki programs, and the educators, they can train the students in specific topics, especially in social sciences and teaching and learning methodologies. And I learned from them, of course, as well, which is wonderful. And also the PAM staff, who's very involved and invested in this work. And for the GLAM community, we're just bringing in new editors who are aligned with our values and skilled and interested in creating and editing content that is reliable and actually shareable and verified. So a bunch of the students, they're awesome, the best teens in South Florida. And by contextualizing, I think, the biographies of living femme-identified artists. And it was just, this has been a journey, and thinking about how these teens are the ambassadors, and they are actually, through the biographies, thinking and investigating, actually, global history, the feminisms, stories of migration, climate change, gender identity, economic and political structures, social hierarchies, and so on and so forth. And I'm proud of them. They're just wonderful. And yeah, I think we don't have much time. That's why I rushed through. I hope if you have, I think a couple of questions is just, and my takeaways from this program so far is just, outreach. At some point, I connected with the Miami Dade County Public Library. They have a wealth of resources from especially artists from South Florida, and Miami is a global hub. Many languages are spoken there. People are coming from all over, so it's just a really wonderful environment to think and do this type of work. And also, you know, always, every time you can, please expand the knowledge and visibility of especially female identified artists, cis and trans. And yeah, if you need resources, just talk to us and check the Art and Feminism website. We are always here to help. This is us, my wonderful friend Paula, and thank you very much. I can't believe it, but I'm 3 minutes away from noon, so if you have a question, this is a good time to ask. And thanks very much. Thank you, Paula.
Thank you.
Are there any questions? Do we have a microphone in the room? Is there a microphone? Are there any questions?
Olá. Bom dia, quase boa tarde.
Hello, good morning, or maybe good afternoon, I should say. We're right in between. I wanted to thank you for your work. Women's fights can be a good example for other social movements and how we can repurpose these methodologies in other segments. I just wanted to thank you and congratulate you. The Wiki feminist movement and the arts and feminist movements and feminist movements have been very important for the Black movement in Wiki, particularly in identifying different gaps. So, for example, in searching for the race category, we would only be able to find categories for criminals in Brazil, looking at the Black movement. So the only condition or the only race that was associated to the criminal category was that of African descent. So we end up educating AI for segregation and for racism in algorithms. So is there anything that you can say about this and the information available that end up continuing or reinforcing racism and such practices?
Desses discursos e narrativas.
There are gaps, and we're also trying to revert these narratives and this discourse that prevail in the digital environment. And we need to train AIs so that they do not keep implementing the same sexist and racist practices that we see in the analog world. Thank you.
That's a wonderful question, and thank you so much. I don't know if I'd reply in English or Portuguese. I would love to. I think I'm going to do it in English. Yeah, it's just, yes, I agree. And one of the things that we do, thinking about, you know, thinking about examples, and we have lists of articles that we create several lists of articles that we go back to them, and we identify several problems related to biases on articles on Wiki in multiple languages. Art and Feminism works with several translators, and our community is just really truly global. So we do have lists, and we just, we fix them. That's why you're here for. So even I invite you, if you want to contribute to the lists, everyone can do it, and we go back to them. And I know about one case actually in the Portuguese Wikipedia about this writer from São Luís do Maranhão, Maria Firmina, it's her name, and the article on Wiki was wonderful, and she was possibly the only, but the first black female writer from São Luís do Maranhão. And on Wiki, she had even an image, an illustration about her, but it was being portrayed as a white woman. And one of our colleagues in São Luís do Maranhão, a colleague in the Art and Feminism, and an artist, actually a visual artist, her name is Silvana Mendes, she's a superstar now, I love her work. And I was working with Silvana in a curatorial project for Wiki, actually inviting Silvana to create illustrations, and she said to me, hey, there's this author, and look at this. So we went there right away, and we are, as we say in the art and feminist movement, we are writing, rewriting and writing, as in correcting the histories. And yeah, so I think this is just a really important topic, because it's true, it is informing other tools on the internet, and how people get that information. So I think that's just really important work.
Y yo digo una cosita y terminamos.
One more thing, because we need to finish now. There are gaps and biases.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you.
We can continue later.